Do you struggle with whether or not you should track your calories and your macros? If so, stick around because that's what we're going to be talking about on this episode of LiveFREE TV. If we haven't met before, I'm Emilie Quisenberry. I'm a holistic weight loss and wellness coach, and I teach women how to live free from the lure of food, negative body image, comparison, and the power of the scale, so they live more fully into who God created them to be. If you're new here, consider subscribing. You can do that by simply clicking one of the buttons around this video. I put out a new teaching and a new resource each and every week to help you experience more freedom in your life. Today, we're going to be talking about whether or not you should track your calories and your macros in order to be successful in weight loss. And from my experience, people generally fall into one of two categories or one of two camps. They either fall into the camp of I never track my food, I can't even imagine doing that, or I cannot imagine not tracking my food and knowing exactly what I'm putting in my mouth every single day. Well, I can tell you, I've actually done both. And like I've shared with you before, I can tend to live in one ditch or the other ditch. And neither one is the best place to be. Since beginning to pursue a ketogenic eating style, in the beginning, I didn't track at all. But then I felt like that I wasn't doing what I should be doing. And so I began to obsessively track what I was doing. This put me into a very restrictive way of eating. And because of my tendency to struggle with perfectionism and then failure, which ultimately leads to me quitting it altogether and starting into a cycle of binging, that's exactly what happened. I found myself in a very bad place, binging and trying to make up for the restriction that the obsessive tracking was causing. And I thought there has to be a better way to do this because I really did, for me, believe that the ketogenic eating style is really best for me. And so I began to talk to the Lord about it. And I began to ask Him to please reveal to me and to please show me how I could integrate this and implement this into my life in a way that would not trigger me into my perfectionistic failure binge pattern. And as He always does, He showed up. And I really felt led to begin journaling. And journaling, not tracking, but just journaling how I felt when I would eat, what the food made me physically feel like, what emotionally was going on, what was causing me to eat. Was it true hunger? Did I overeat? And if so, why? Was it because it tasted good? Was it because I was eating too quickly? My journal wasn't a place of declaring right or wrong or good or bad or pass or fail. It was really just about noticing and becoming aware of how food impacts me, how it affects me, what drives me to it. And it was so eye-opening for me. I began to see patterns and I began to see ways that the Lord was wanting to unwind and unravel me further in this area. I kept this journal for several weeks and it really evolved into a prayer journal, which has just been an ongoing conversation between me and the Lord about this area of my life. And as this conversation continued, I began to feel like maybe I should track for just a short period of time to see where I exactly was, how much I was consuming, what were my macros, what was making me feel good, and what was making me feel bad. And so for 1 week, 7 days, I loaded my FitnessPal back onto my phone because I had taken it off. Because for me, that ditch of living in obsessively tracking was not a ditch that I needed to go back to. But I continued to bring this before the Lord. I loaded it back on there and I began tracking what I was eating for a week to see. And the beauty of this is I was able to determine the amount that I could eat or did eat that made me feel good. And what did that look like? It's just like having a checkup. Like having a checkup for your health or your finances or your relationships or your work. This is something that from time to time, maybe every quarter, we need to do. We need to know where we are in our life. We need to have a baseline and something to work from to see where we may have gaps or where we may be doing maybe better in some areas than not. So this process has really helped me to begin to build a foundation for a nutritional program specifically for me, not for anybody else, because I have been the girl, and maybe you can relate to this, that if I saw somebody who had results in their weight loss and in a fitness program, or I was just looking for something in that area, I would just go with whatever they said. That's what I was going to do. If they said eat this, I was going to eat that. If they said move this way, I was going to move that way. And how can that work? How can it be a one size fits all? We are all so unique that there's no way we could take one diet, one way of eating, and apply it to every single person. And that's been the beauty of this process, is it's really allowed me, through my conversations with the Lord and what He has shown me in this process, to see a foundation for moving forward on the road to food freedom. So I want to share a scripture with you. It's in Proverbs 14:8, and it says, "The prudent understand where they are going, but fools deceive themselves." A prudent person is a wise person, and a wise person knows where they're going. So it can be very beneficial to track our macros and calories for a short period of time to understand where we are and where we're going. But when we start to use that instead of trusting ourselves and trusting the Lord, then it's gone too far. In every episode of LiveFREE TV, I like to provide you with a free resource that's going to help you take the teaching and activate it in your life. And this week, I've created a free guide, Freedom from Food Rules. You can pick that up at emiliequisenberry.com/5download. When you go there, that's actually going to take you over to my blog, and underneath the video, there's a big orange button. When you click on that button, fill in your information, and the guide will be delivered directly to you. Again, that's emiliequisenberry.com/5download. In this guide, I'm actually going to walk you through the process of being able to track without becoming overwhelmed by it or becoming a slave to it. Please feel free to share this with any other women in your life who may be wondering this very same thing. I do believe this is going to help you gain a measure of freedom in this area of your life. So the question of the week is, which side do you find yourself on? Are you more of an obsessive tracker? Are you more of a person who could never imagine tracking your food at all? I would love to know, and I would love to know what step you're going to take today to begin this process of living free from food rules. Did you find value in today's episode? I really hope that you did. If so, would you please click one of the social share buttons around this video and share it and like it so that other people have the opportunity to see this information. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of LiveFREE TV. Be blessed.